Hello and welcome to The Hero Spouse. I'm Kenda Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have an anonymous female left behind and forward-moving spouse with a bomb drop of September 26th, 2022, so that was only a couple of months ago, a date of marriage of 2000, and she's not familiar with the energy level types or contact types yet. She says, I don't know if this is midlife crisis or he just doesn't love me anymore. Given from what I've read, which will follow, I'm going to say midlife crisis, but I am going to put a note in here to make sure you get to the midlife crisis quiz. Okay, then you can take that quiz and see if that can help you determine whether it's a midlife crisis or not. What I see, however, is tons of people take the quiz and say, oh yeah, he fits all the stuff, but I'm not sure it's a midlife crisis. And they check all the boxes. Check all the boxes. Midlife crisis. It's your own doubts creeping in about, oh, I just think he doesn't love me and it really is over. The thing is, midlife crisis could mean that it's over anyway. The odds of reconciliation, unfortunately, are not in our favor anyway. So you're not gaining a benefit by saying midlife crisis or not. I felt I did because I had something to grab onto and study. That's the benefit. So just wait a moment. Link to MLC quiz. And the link is actually, it'll be to my main site and it'll show you where to go. At the top of the main site, there's going to be a banner that pops down and says, take the quiz. I'm sure there's a way I can get you to the actual quiz link, but I don't know how to do that. I'm not as technically advanced, even though I've built this site. So she says, I don't know if he just doesn't love me anymore, or it's MLC. I'm in agony. I thought we were forever and our relationship was good. Because this was out of the blue, randomly he blurted out and left immediately after spending a lovely weekend and time together. So I'm assuming the weekend, then the bomb drop that he didn't want to be there, and then left immediately. Not said it and had a good weekend and then left. That's my guess. There's not another person in our lives, new. Oh, no one could tell. Got it. And everyone is in shock. We've been together for 30 years. We have two sons, 14 and 17. There doesn't seem to be anyone else. And that might not be, that might be the case. But it might not be, and he's hiding it well. Or it could be that there is going to be somebody else. It can go any of those ways, okay? So, bullet points that she's listed. He doesn't love me anymore. I'm assuming he said these things. These are things he said. Doesn't love me anymore. Can't be married. Cannot live a lie. And she has a question mark with that. Sees me as his best friend and at some point down the line would like that relationship to continue. These things that you're saying right now are signs of clinging boomerang and wants the relationship to continue. That is a contact type. He's only communicated via text or voice message, but is in daily contact. That is definitely boomerang territory. And the wants the relationship to continue is where I say clinging. He said he tried to make his feelings come back, but I didn't notice an increase in affection. We're going to talk about that one. Okay, let's go on first. He wants to remain married on paper, no legal separation, divorce, says it will work out better financially for me. He told me to move on and find someone else. That might be a problem if it happened. He can't understand why we're still all upset. He didn't think the children would have pulled away from him. And he won't speak to family and close friends about it. Okay, first thing, everything you're saying does speak midlife crisis from it. He can't live a lie. And yet you've been best friends and he wants to continue that. Now, what about this part where he said he tried to make the feelings come out, but you didn't notice an increase in affection? What that means is you didn't notice an increase in actions. Because in his mind, he has to have the feelings first, and then he'll do the actions. And that probably seems backwards to you, because maybe you realize one of the ways that we can get the feelings and help the feelings is by doing the actions even when we don't feel it. But for him, he wants to be able to feel them so that he can then express them actively. He can't understand why you're still upset. MLC is a kind of depression. And depression stamps out or covers or buries or numbs empathy. He doesn't understand, and he doesn't have the ability or capacity right now to detect the full range of other people's feelings. Or maybe he can detect a little bit, but he's just not very good at reading the room, reading social cues, understanding people's feelings, and connecting with them on an emotional level. He is lacking empathy right now. Not in a good, bad, he has a disease way, but he is going through a period of depression, and so certain non-essential functions shut down. Empathy is very important for our social lives, but it's non-essential for actual survival, for getting a pulse, an airway, that sort of thing. He can still stand up and walk around like a zombie, but he doesn't need to have empathy. And so it's a non-essential function that gets numbed. And that shows why he didn't think the children would have pulled away. He doesn't understand the full ripple effect of what he's doing. Now, he won't speak to family and close friends about it, mainly because of shame. There's guilt going on, but there's a lot of shame, and he doesn't want to. He's embarrassed. Then there's this other piece that could be, I was so surprised at the ripple effect for my children. I don't get it. What if that has that on the others, and they're all upset at me as well, and they pull away from me? That's a little bit of shrapnel, whereas the main piece is probably shame. So, what are you to do? Take that quiz if you haven't already. If you haven't already, sign up for Understanding Midlife Crisis. It's a free course, and is going to give you some of the basics. It looks right now like you have a clinging boomerang, but I don't like the word diagnose, but I don't say that they are set as a certain contact type for several months, up to a year. Clinging boomerangs I can usually tell earlier, but in the beginning, after a bomb drop, there are so many more mixed messages at the very beginning with back and forths that somebody could actually be more of a vanisher. And in the beginning, there's still so much uncertainty that they might contact more. So he looks like a clinging boomerang. Boomerang is about the frequency of contact. Clinging is about the emotional connection within the contact. And yeah, I know he's only contacting by more neutral means, text, that sort of thing, or voice message. At least there's a voice in that one. It's still a contact. He's doing it daily. So there is a flow of information and communication between the two of you. That is boomerang. If there's a regular flow, even if he only contacted you every 2 weeks, I would still say boomerang. Now at this point, he may be a low energy wallower. Low energy wallower is when you can tell they're depressed. It is overt depression. The other kind is covert depression, or masked, sometimes called male pattern depression, and that often shows as things like anger or higher energy actions. Whereas just from your description, he seems like he could be low energy, but can't really tell. First thing, those who are often low energy start out trying to be high energy, and they fail at it, and so they end up being low energy. And there's not really enough information. If there's a hidden alienator, if there comes an alienator and it really takes, not that's a good or bad thing. I don't mean like that they'll survive together, but it can last a very long time, rather than a relationship that lasts 2 weeks and they just can't get anybody to really, say, hey, date me. Then he might try flings. He might try nothing. But low energy wallowers are not as likely to have an alienator as high energy. I believe the statistics still say for all types, it's over 50%. In other words, most of them do have an alienator or affair, some form of affair, whether that's emotional or physical. But with the high energy replayer, it's an affair that is probably emotionally bonded, another limerent, and it will last longer, and they think they're soulmates. With somebody who's low energy, they have trouble with that connection. And so they might not be able to sustain a relationship. But their depression is right here on their sleeve. Okay? So what I want you to do really is just learn more about midlife crisis and take that quiz. From what you've said, just the basics, it sounds like midlife crisis. Okay? I hope this is helpful, and I'll see everybody else in the next question.